Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com, and today I want to talk to you about a teleporting bottle experience I had, and also the experience of feeling resonance. So it all started about a few days ago, last week, when I was planning to use this bottle, this very bottle of Howard feed wax to polish a table in the dining table. So I was just doing what I often do when there's hardly any left. You can see it's mostly empty, and I would work the product down toward the opening by shaking it rapidly like that. So I was swinging it very quickly with my whole arm. As I had entered the kitchen, I'd closed the door behind me. I was walking through the kitchen, shaking that bottle really quickly like that, and it slipped out of my hands. So no longer was I holding the bottle. It just vanished, and its trajectory should have been taking it either to strike the stove, the oven, or maybe a pan that was propped up next to the oven. But I didn't hear any noise at all. So I turned around, and my first thought was kind of funny. It's like, well, of course, if I let go of something and I stop looking at it, because I couldn't see it when I swung it behind me, I thought, well, of course it's vanished, because I didn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. There was no bottle lying on the floor. There was no sound of a thump or a bang like I would expect from hitting either the oven or the pan that was next to the oven. So this sort of thing sometimes can happen around me, where something vanishes. Hopefully it will appear again. So I checked inside the oven, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I thought, well, if it went right through the oven door, it might be inside. So I checked there. Then I started checking ridiculous places, because I'm still in the kitchen. The door is closed to the kitchen. There's nobody else with me. I look inside the refrigerator. It's not there. I look inside the kitchen trash. It's not there. But then I remembered this experience of resonance that we can all share with not just each other, but also animals, plants, and objects like this bottle. So I just, while I was laughing, I felt like, okay, good one. There wasn't much product left in this bottle, so even if it did vanish completely, I guess that's okay. But I really did love it, so I was just letting it go, releasing that whole expectation that I would ever see the bottle again. But remembering experiences like I've had in the past, such as one time when I was walking along, actually I was inside a local park near us that has thousands and thousands of acres, and I'm just walking through the park on my own when I encountered a dog that looked exhausted. It looked kind of damp, like a dog looks when it's been walking for a long time through dewy grasses that are really, really tall. And I tried to reach to see the dog's tag, because it was unaccompanied, it's without any person near it, and it wouldn't let me look at the tags. Then I asked the dog, I think out loud as well as just telepathically, where are you from? And the dog looked at me and then very intentionally turned its head toward the direction of a neighboring town, which is miles away, Orinda. And I thought, okay, wow, you've come a long way. So I don't know what got into me, but except for this resonance I was feeling with the dog, which is that feeling of, we're going to get through this together, whatever it takes, we've got this. So I don't know how else to explain it, but I suddenly felt confident, and I said, we'll find your owner. And the dog looked really, it looked like, okay, good. And it's not a dog that I knew at all. It's not a familiar dog to me, clearly. It's from a different city. But we started walking together, as if we had been walking together the whole time, just on that trail in the park, walking together. We continued like this for a few minutes, and then up above us on a road, I heard a woman's voice call down, Derby, Derby, is that you? And then the dog looked up and looked delighted, and it just bounded up that hill to the woman. And I asked her, where are you from? And she said Orinda, that she'd driven to go on a run. So she'd left Derby at home, driven away, and then didn't even know he was gone. So anyway, that's resonance. So I connected with this bottle, and I've left out the other thing that was going on when this whole experience happened. I had been listening to a presentation by Dr. Dean Radin, who is chief scientist at Institute of Noetic Sciences. And he was talking about one of his books, Real Magic, and he was going into some of the research that he's conducted in the past. One of the studies I was lucky enough to be a part of, having to do with intentional chocolate. I was in the group that received the chocolate that had intentions placed upon it, but through prayer, through intentional prayer and meditation. And I could feel that there was a lot of energy in that chocolate. So that was my response when I was participating. Dean talked from the experimenter's point of view, that he had conducted this experiment and it had been quite conclusive, and it had also been replicated with another similar study, except instead of using chocolate, they used tea. And it was tea that was bottled up in advance, that had been, intentions had been placed on it. There's also, as all of the studies that Dean participates in, he had gone, of course, to the trouble to create the placebo group. So there was a group that didn't have any intentions placed on their chocolate. Of course, chocolate's always good if you love chocolate, which I do. And with the tea, a similar situation. So I've been listening to this interview, listening to Dean talking about real magic and how intention matters and so forth. And that was the mindset I was in as I had closed that door, shaken this bottle, let it go out of my hand, not heard any sound, although expected to hear a sound because it's not that big a kitchen, so it should have hit something, but it didn't. When I checked, I was also fortunate. During the inspection process of checking the kitchen, I did make a find that I never would have found unless I'd had this incident with the bottle that vanished. And that was, as I was looking next to the oven, there was that baking pan that I mentioned, and stuck to the bottom of it were some magnetic rings that are very useful. If you wear them on your pinky fingers, they can help assist your blood flow in your body. So they'd been missing for a while, and I was glad to find them. Anyway, so rejoining our original story, so there I am in the kitchen realizing, wow, I do love this bottle. I'm going to feel my connection to it intentionally, which I did. And so if it's fine, I just had the intention, if you want to show up again, there won't be any questions asked. You can show up pretty much anywhere, it'll be fine. And then I just let it go again. I'd given up on my project of polishing the kitchen table because I had run out of the furniture wax. It was gone. So I was just walking back down. I left the kitchen, opened the door, walked down the hall. But before I got very far, I looked across the hallway into the living room. And several feet away, in front of the television set, was, you guessed it, this bottle of Howard's Feed and Wax on the floor, which would have been a trick shot if I had been standing where I had been in the kitchen with the door open and had tried to intentionally throw it through both doorways across from the kitchen. Like, so you would have to go through the kitchen, across the hall, into the living room, somehow sort of bend. It would be a bendy kind of a trick curve, like if you're throwing a baseball and it's a curve ball. I'd have to throw a curve bottle, and then it could happen. But it would have had to go through that closed door, through two doorways, and I wasn't even looking when I did this, and it wasn't the direction I was flinging the bottle. The swing of that bottle was toward the stove. Anyway, so that's my experience, which is quite wonderful and fun, and I wanted to share it with you and show you the actual bottle, talk a little bit about these notes. And Institute of Noetic Sciences is a wonderful organization. It's well worth looking into, joining if you get a chance, because you can hear talks like this one. It's also fun to look up Dean Radin, see what he's doing. And I do have a blog post about this, so you can read the blog, see the links, and check that out. And hope you'll continue to keep asking my favorite question, how good can it get? Till next time, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with realityshifters.com. Thanks so much.